भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 57, entitled Satrajit murdered, the jewel returned. Verse number 33. Tatsutasthatprabhavosav akruro yatra yatraha devo abhivarshate tatra notpata namarikaha tadakruro tatprabhavosav tatsutastatprabhavosav akruro yatra devo abhivarshate tatra nopatapa namarikaha tatsutastatprabhavosav akruro yatra devo abhivarshate tatra nopatapa namarikaha tatra tapanmarikaha sutasprabhavosav kruro yatra devo abhivarshate tatra nopatapanamarikaha. Vaishnavis, word to word translation. Tat, his, Shwafalkas. Sutaha, son. Tat prabhavaha, having his powers. Asau, he. Akruraha, akrur. Yatra, wherever. Ha, indeed. Devaha, Lord Indra. Abhivarshate, will provide rain. Tatra, there. No. Upatapaha, painful disturbances. Na, no. Marikaha, untimely deaths. Translation: wherever his equally powerful son Akrura stays, Lord Indra will provide sufficient rains. Indeed, that place will be free of all misery is and untimely deaths. इति वृद्धवचः श्रुत्वा नैतावद् इह कारणम् इति मत्वा समानाय प्राह क्रूरं जनार्दनः. Translation: hearing these words from the elders, Lord Janardhan, though aware that the absence of Akrura was not the only cause of the evil omens, had him summoned back to Dwarka and spoke to him. Purport by the followers of Srila Prabhupada. Since Lord Krishna is the supreme controller, it was obviously by his will that certain troubles appeared in the city of Dwarka. Superficially, these evils may have been caused by Akrura's absence and also by the absence of the auspicious Shamantak jewel. But we should recall that Dwarka is the eternal abode of Lord Krishna. It is a city of divine bliss because the Lord resides there. Still, to execute his pastimes as a prince of this world, Lord Krishna did the needful and summoned Akrura. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanishalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurau Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today morning we are discussing from the pastime of Satrajit murdered. So here we have come to the place where there are inauspicious things happening in Dwarka, and the residents of Dwarka, especially the elders, are ascribing it to the absence of Akrura. And therefore, Krishna summons him back. So this pastime itself has been elaborately discussed. So I will look in this talk about some of the underlying philosophical dynamics. Here, some natural phenomena has happened. There are some natural disturbances, and those natural disturbances are being ascribed to human causes. The absence of a particular human being is said to be causing these natural disturbances. So, we will look in today's worldview, what does this correlate with? That means, today nature is considered to be an independent unit, and consciousness in and of itself doesn't have effect on nature. That means, essentially, from the point of view of today's worldview, this is something like a miracle to argue that because a person is present, this is not happening. Because a person is present, rains are coming, or because a person is absent, rains are not coming. This seems to be something like a miracle. And this is talked about repeatedly in the Ramayana also, or prior to the Ramayana, when Dasharath Maharaj's friend, Maharaj Romaharshan, there is no land, rain in his kingdom, so he gets a Brahmana who has been a celibate throughout his life, Risha Shringa, and by his arrival, rain comes. So, how do we understand this from today's rational perspective? So, I will talk about miracles. I will talk about three main sub-themes within miracles: the possibility of miracles, the insubstantiality of miracles, and the utility of miracles. So, first of all, the possibility of miracles. Now, Einstein said that there are two ways to live life. One is to see everything as a miracle, and the other is to see nothing as a miracle. Now, what exactly did he mean when he used the word miracle? Now, the word, many words have specific religio-cultural context from where they have originated. So, the word miracle has originated, it's an English word. Rough Sanskrit translation could be chamatkar, but the word miracle is used, say, for in the Christian tradition, Jesus or God parting the sea when the original Jews were trying to escape from Egypt, or Jesus expanding one morsel of bread into many loaves of bread, one loaf of bread into many loaves of bread, like that. So basically, anything that is supernatural, anything that does not appear to be the way normally things happen, as we observe in nature, that is called as miracle in current parlance. So now, the standard argument that today's scientifically minded people, I would go further, not just scientifically minded, but skeptically minded people, because science doesn't necessarily have to be skeptical of everything supernatural. So, but skeptically minded people, they say, oh, in the past, people were very gullible. That's why any story that was told to them, they were ready to believe it. And now, we have become more intelligent, we have become more thoughtful. So, we should reject those stories. And this is not just the view of, skeptical atheists. There are prominent religionists also. There was a very prominent Hindu revivalist who wanted to purify Krishna. Krishna has purified the whole world. He wanted to purify Krishna means what? He said the original Krishna was a very rational, intelligent, moral being. And these bhaktas contaminated him by ascribing all kinds of immoralities and all kinds of miracles to him. So therefore, I want to purify Krishna. And so the purified Krishna is basically the miraculous Krishna. There is the idea. So they had all kinds of. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, this particular commentator on the Bhagavad, he was a contemporary of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur strongly countered his ideas, or at least tried to point out their falsity. So the point is, so this is not just the attitude of skeptics or atheists. Even religionists think that how are these miracles possible? So now, first of all, if we look at naturalism, what exactly is naturalism? Naturalism essentially means that nature is all that is. That whatever we observe in nature, there are laws in nature, and those laws are supreme. So, can Krishna lift up a Govardhan hill? No, there is a law of gravity by which that will be so heavy. How can it be lifted? And to some extent, or to a large extent, the worldview of naturalism is validated by our observations in nature. We see consistency, regularity, repeatability in the observations of nature. If there is a law of gravity, then fruits fall not just in England, but all over the world. And not just in the 16th, 17th century, but all the centuries. So we see repeatability in the behavior of nature. And this leads scientists to assume that all of nature and indeed all of existence behaves according to laws. And these laws are immutable. They cannot be changed. They cannot be suspended. And because miracles involve the suspension or the the transgression of laws, natural laws. So therefore miracles are impossible. Now, if we look at the naturalistic worldview, how did it originate? It originated in the 16th, 17th century, where Rajoguna was more and more becoming more and more prominent in the human ethos. Rajoguna essentially correlates with control. And so Francis Bacon was one of the prominent thinkers at those times, and he said, knowledge is power. If we look at European history before that, and if you look at Vedic history also, knowledge is virtue. If you see the Bhagavad Gita also, what does Krishna say? Define knowledge in terms of? In terms of qualities. Etaj jnanam iti proktam ajnanam yadato anyatha. In 13.8 to 12, Krishna enlists 20 qualities, and after that he states that these qualities comprise knowledge. So knowledge was measured. Socrates famously defined knowledge. What is knowledge? He said knowledge is virtue. That we should define knowledge, or how knowledgeable a person is, in terms of how much virtuous that person is. And there is a famous anecdote of Euclid. Euclid was the person who pioneered geometry. So when he was teaching geometry, a student came to him and he said, "Sir, what is the point? What is the use of studying geometry? What am I going to earn from it?" So Euclid is said to have called the servant and said, "Give him some coins. Because unless he gets some coins, he doesn't understand the value of studying." So the point is that he said the study of geometry is to appreciate the magnificence of the order of nature, of the mathematical structure of nature as is reflected in the language of geometry. So he said study is for the development of appreciation of existence. So this is also a virtue. He says Atvat Sanjayate Jnanam. Now he's not talking directly from a theistic perspective, but this is knowledge not just for the sake of earning, not just knowledge for the sake of for controlling, knowledge for the sake of relishing, for appreciating. And ultimately, we see Krishna says knowledge is for the purpose of loving him. Aham sarvasya prabho mattah sarvam pravartite iti matva bhajante ma. Iti matva. One who knows me, what happens to him? Bhajante ma. He becomes my devotee. So knowledge was originally considered as meant for developing virtue. But with the reductionistic, with the science, naturalistic worldview coming up, knowledge was thought of as a tool for power. Now, in general, we see that in any political party or any political group, when one individual or one group wants to acquire power, the standard strategy is to sideline, marginalize, and push aside those who obstruct the acquirement of that power. So anybody, for example, in a particular political party, one person wants to become a leader. Somebody is a dissident, okay, send him out of the party somehow, disqualify him. So similarly, now naturalism, the naturalism is, how does naturalism, a Rajasic worldview, how does naturalism allow us to increase our control? The idea is, if nature works according to laws, then two things happen. First is, there is no higher being who is controlling it. There are laws controlling it. So firstly, we are freed from the control of a higher being. Secondly, if nature is controlled by laws, if I can understand the laws, then I can control things. So naturalism displaces God as the controller of nature and replaces him by man. So now, when naturalism tries to control nature like this, the problem is that there are observations in nature which are not amenable to this worldview, and they get sidelined, they get neglected. So now God is not disproven by naturalistic science. See, science is a tool for acquiring knowledge. Science is a way of looking at the world. And naturalism is one particular method that is adopted by science. So scientific naturalism or naturalistic science, whichever you want to say, what it says, it doesn't prove the non-existence of God. it presumes the non-existence of God. Proving means it comes as a conclusion. Presuming means it comes as an assumption. So naturalistic science assumes the non-existence of God. And not just God, all supernatural phenomena. And there is a rationale for this approach also. Now, for example, when Europe was affected by the Black Plague, no, literally one third of the population of Europe was killed. Now, at that time, there were different kinds of shamans, witch hunters, and all these different kinds of people who ascribed the plague to various causes. They said, oh, maybe some evil spirit has come. Oh, maybe this has problem. That is the problem. But eventually, scientists, they found out that a particular germ coming through a particular medium is the cause of that particular disease. So, now science says that as long as we assume that natural phenomena have natural causes, we can find those causes and we can correct those causes. So if somebody gets a disease, then, okay, I assume that it has a natural cause. That means there must be some germ, something wrong in the body at a body level, because of which this is happening. And therefore, we will find out what it is at a natural material level. And we will cure that. We will counter that. And that will heal the person. And science, naturalistic science argues that bringing in supernatural factors is a progress stopper. Because so their argument is, if we had accepted, scientists had accepted that the Black Plague is caused by some evil spirits, then we would have never found any medicine to cure it. And we would still be affected by the plague. So their argument is, it's not their argument is that as long as we restrict the causes of natural phenomena to natural factors, there's a disease, we find out what is the natural cause for that. Then we can do something to progress. But if we take in, we factor in a supernatural cause, we ascribe a supernatural cause, then we can't do any progress. Now this is a valid argument. And we will see here, as well as in Govardhan Leela, if we go back, now, after Krishna lifts up Govardhan, what happens is, the Brajavasis come and ask Nanda Maharaj, how did Krishna lift Govardhan? So now, this question itself indicates that they are aware of the extraordinariness of the event. That means they are not just gullible people who are ready to believe anything. When something extraordinary happens, they are also asking the question. Saying, how did this happen? You and I, we can't lift a mountain. So how did Krishna lift a mountain? So they are also aware of the natural order that pervades phenomena. Now, interestingly, when Nanda Maharaj gives a reply, he says that actually this boy, he is almost like Narayan. Garga Muni has said that he is almost, either is like an incarnation of Narayan or almost like Narayan. He's a very great person. Then they accept, oh, a great person can do that. So now, what is happening? Here, the Brajavasis are demonstrating a natural inquiry about how natural order can be suspended. But they are also exhibiting an open-mindedness of supernatural factors interrupting with the natural order. So the mistake of naturalism is, yes, we should look for natural explanations for natural causes. But that does not mean that we reject all supernatural explanations. See, even if we look at Ayurveda, Ayurveda looks for natural causes for natural diseases. It's not that every time somebody gets a stomach ache, Ayurveda is going to say that you have to worship Vaishwanar now. No, they'll give practical, physical medicines to cure the physical ailments in the body. So the idea that natural problems have natural causes is included even within the Vedic worldview. But the Vedic worldview is not restricted to ascribing natural phenomena to natural causes alone. There's a difference between the two. So that means there are three different things over here. One is a superstitious kind of belief where everything natural is ascribed to something supernatural. The second is, we could call it an equally superstitious belief that everything natural has to be ascribed to something natural only. That is the modern atheistic worldview. And the third is a balanced worldview where we understand that a natural phenomena can have natural causes and they can be affected by supernatural causes also. So now, how can natural phenomena be affected by supernatural causes? There are two ways. First is within the orderliness of nature, and second is beyond the orderliness of nature. Within the orderliness of nature means that the laws of nature and God's supremacy don't have to be mutually contradictory. If any of you most of you have probably seen a game of billiards. Billiards is normally played on a table. And when you play billiards, at that time, there are balls which are kept, and then there are long sticks, poles, we could say, with which the ball is hit. And when the ball is hit at a particular angle, that hits another ball, and all the balls move, and if some ball goes into a hole, then some points are scored. Now, if somebody were watching from a camera from above, and the camera's scope is only the table, nothing beyond the table. You just see the stick moving, you see the ball hitting, and after that, this ball goes here, this ball goes here, that ball goes there. Now, the movement of the balls on the billiards table will all be according to the laws of mechanics. Yes, this stick hit it with this force at this angle, and that's why this ball moved this way, this ball moved this way, and then this ball went into the hole. So we can trace the motion on the billiards table to the laws of physics, to the laws of motion. And that is a correct description. But it is not a complete description. Because, yes, there is the factor of the stick being hit to a particular ball with a particular force, but behind that is the skill of the player. If we expand the scope of the camera, then we will see that is a skillful player who is hitting the ball. So, the the naturalistic explanation and the personalistic explanation are not contradictory. They are complementary. How? Yes. How are they complementary? Complementary means both complete each other. So naturalistic explanation is that the billiards balls move according to certain laws. That is the naturalistic explanation. That is valid. The complementary personalist explanation is that there is a player with skill. Now the player may not be aware of all the laws of mathematics. The player may not be factoring in all the calculations. Now when a batsman is batting, the batsman is not thinking in terms of a calculator how fast the ball is going to be and how much torque I have to put into the swing of my bat when I hit the ball. No, but there is all that is happening instinctively. It is all happening instinctively, but that instinct is a result of both talent and skill that are ascribed to a human person, to a person. So the personalist explanation and the naturalist explanation are not contradictory but complementary. So in this way, it is not that we have to be superstitious this way or that way. I was talking about the balanced middle approach, not ascribing all natural causes to supernatural phenomena, not ascribing all natural phenomena to supernatural causes, or not ascribing all natural phenomena to natural causes alone. Now, this is how we explain Krishna's control of the world in normal situations. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hriddeshe arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantrarudhani mayaya. So in 18.61, when Krishna says that he is the Ishvara who is guiding the wanderings of all living beings. So Krishna, in the normal course of events, acts through the laws of nature. maya adhyakshena prakriti. So the laws of nature are coming from God's supreme intelligence. Now this is a great mystery, an unsolved mystery in science, that where do the laws come from? Because as I said, naturalism says that nature works according to laws. But the question comes, where do the laws come from? And there are basically three explanations. One is that the laws come by chance. Second is the laws come by plan, which takes us to God. And the third is laws simply exist. So now if you look at all these three primary explanations, that laws come by chance. This was originally thought to be possible, but as science has advanced, it has found that the complexity of the laws is so great that they cannot have come by chance. So the laws, if we go now, say E is equal to mc square or F is equal to gm1 m2 upon r square, these are simple laws. But if you go to quantum physics and look at Schrodinger's equation, it's a complex equation. And if we go down further to particle physics, if we look at the standard wave model, and if we look at the equations for that, they are even more complicated. So Srinivasa Ramanujan said that, an equation for me has no meaning unless it represents a thought of God. This is a big, big mystery in science. See, mathematics is just something, if we just consider that, if we just, for argument's sake, accept the atheistic worldview, that there was nothing, and nothing exploded because of nothing, and something came up, and something happened to something, and everything came about. So this is the essential story of atheism. Nothing existed, nothing exploded because of nothing, and something came about, and something happened to something, and everything came about. So now, if we look at this story of atheism, the problem with this story is that if we look at mathematics, actually everything is just a random pattern of motions of subatomic particles. So the world around me is just a random motion of subatomic particles. The brain inside me is also a random motion of subatomic particles. So now, if everything has just come about by chance, then E is equal to mc square, the equation that gives Einstein's postulation of the interchangeability of matter and energy, E is equal to mc square. This is just some pattern of letters that has been thought up in the human brain. In fact, the whole concept of letters and numbers is just something which is going around in the circuitry of the brain. So, why should some signals which are going around in the circuitry of the brain, which has come about by chance, correlate with the behavior of the world around, which has also come about by chance? So, if you see the naturalistic worldview, we are not talking here about the design argument per se. Because the design argument assumes the existence of things which are designed. And science rejects the design argument by saying that everything can come from laws. We are saying, where do the laws come from? Why should any order exist at all? So, there should be no order at all, and further, there should be no order in the brain, there should be no order in the outside world, and certainly there should be no correlation between the concepts in the brain and the objects outside. So, now the point is that naturalism is very inadequate when it comes to explaining the world completely. Although within a slice of reality, it explains things quite well. Within the normal operation that we do, we use cell phones, we use emails, we use various technologies, there naturalism works. And as far as it goes, it is very good. So this class may seem a little scientific, but actually it is not scientific, it is philosophical. Science studies nature, philosophy studies the nature of nature. Philosophy studies the nature of nature. So, I'll talk about one more point before we come back to the Bhagavatam. So, sometimes people mistakenly give unnecessary respect to science. See, we are not against science. But to say that the President of America is not the CEO of the whole world, that is not disrespect of the President of America. If he takes it as disrespect, that is because of his ego. Isn't it? So similarly, now the President of America is a very respectable person. He's a very powerful person, and his power is to be acknowledged. But we don't have to give him ascribe him more power than what he has. So similarly, science is phenomenally powerful, and we acknowledge the power of science. There's a very nice conversation of Prabhupada, where he says that recently one scientist, devotee scientist, he asked a question on my website. He said that whenever devotees criticize science, I feel very irritated. He says, I am a scientist and I have devoted my life to the study of science, so can't I have a healthy self-respect for my profession? So then, in my response, I quoted this, Prabhupada, very nice conversation. So Prabhupada is saying that we are not against science spirit to know. We are not against science spirit to know. We are against their atheism. So science as a means for acquiring knowledge is nothing wrong. But when science goes out of its scope and comes to atheism, that is what is wrong. So I'll explain what is the difference between science per se and the conclusion of atheism that some people draw unwarrantedly from science. See, in science there are three different kinds of arguments which are used. There is deductive argument, there is inductive argument, and there is abductive argument. So don't get apprehensive about the names. The concepts are very simple. We all know deductive knowledge. Deductive knowledge refers to a universal truth. So in science, mathematics is considered deductive. 3 plus 3 will be 6. 2 plus 4 will be 6. So the three angles of a triangle will be 180 degrees. So deductive knowledge is considered to be most reliable. Of course, now as science has progressed, as maths has progressed, even deductive knowledge has become somewhat questionable, because if you have a triangle on a spherical object, if you have a triangle on a sphere, then the three angle sum is not 180 degrees. So deductive knowledge also has its problems. Now we are talking about deductive in terms of as it is understood in the material realm. But deductive knowledge is the most reliable. Second is inductive knowledge. Inductive knowledge means we make a number of observations, and from those observations we extrapolate and make a general pattern. So Newton observed a fruit falling and he repeated the experiment, and by that he concluded that objects fall and therefore there is a law of gravity. So now most of science operates on inductive knowledge. Now inductive knowledge is not necessarily conclusive, because the validity of induction requires induction. Now induction is what? We observe, say we observe 1000 times whether something happens, and then after that I assume that 1001st time also it will happen. And this is a extrapolation from observations. Now it is a reasonable extrapolation, but it is not a foolproof extrapolation. Now maybe till now 10,000 times I have opened my laptop and never has the circuitry exploded in my face. But there are people with whom it has happened. There are people with whom things have happened like that. Or a more credible example we could say is that in homes, housewives use the gas, LPG gas. Now most gases don't explode, but the possibility is there. So induction is never a foolproof way of acquiring knowledge. Now these are non-scientific examples, but they illustrate the point that induction itself is not foolproof. But still induction is a reasonably reliable way of acquiring knowledge. But what atheists do, now here I will differentiate between atheists and scientists. So atheists, so science has got a lot of respectability based on the knowledge it has acquired from induction. So for example, we move around by planes or ships, or now we have electronics. All this knowledge is acquired by induction. And induction is done by doing repeated experiments and then coming to certain patterns, certain observations. But the prestige that is got from induction that science has got from its inductive knowledge, atheists extrapolate it to knowledge which is acquired by abductive means. Now, abduction is not kidnapping here. Abduction, the words have different meanings. Abductive logic is what? So, most of us may have seen or read some mystery stories. So, then in abductive logic, it's like a whodunit mystery. So, in a particular room, the owner was there, and somebody went into the room at 10 o'clock and they found the owner was murdered with a knife in his stomach. Now we want to find out who did the murder. Then if we have a camera at the door, and we can observe, okay, from the previous person went to meet him at 4 o'clock, and 10 o'clock when the next person went, he was murdered. Then we go back from 4 o'clock to 10 o'clock, and we observe who all went into the house. And then you say, okay, one small child went in. That child could not have had the strength to put a knife and pierce it with that strength. So we reject that option. Then maybe some elderly woman went in. She also did not have the strength. Then the janitor of the room went in. Oh, he's the suspect. And then we may conclude that, okay, the janitor, the security man he is the one who went and murdered the owner. Now this is called as a inference to best explanation, IBM. Now if you see here, in this case, there is no possibility of repeatability. You can't murder the person repeatedly to check out who did it. So now, when science studies origins, science has to use abductive logic. Abductive logic means we abduct all the other explanations, and whatever explanation we are left with, that is the explanation we arrive at. So in the case of whodunit mystery, what we do is, okay, it could not be this person, 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 therefore it must be this person. Now, this abductive logic is never very reliable, because it cannot take in all the factors. Now we may not know, in that same room there might be a secret trap door, and somebody opened that trap door and came in and killed the unsuspecting owner and went out of the trap door. So by just looking at the factors that we know and trying to infer the best cause among them, we may arrive at a completely wrong conclusion. So now, you see, there is study of science where science studies phenomena as they are right now. These are repeatable. But when science tries to make claims about the way things happened in the past, especially when science goes to origins, how everything came about, science has no capacity to repeat things. And because it has no capacity to repeat things, the only way it can explain is through abductive logic. And abductive logic is not as reliable as inductive logic. By no means is it as reliable as inductive logic. So therefore, the point which I am making is that we may see technology working all around us. We may see we may use cell phones, we may use emails, and we think, hey, science is so wonderful. And if science thinks everything came by a Big Bang, if everything came by evolution, then who am I to oppose science? We may think like that. But we should know that these two theories, Big Bang theory, evolution theory, scientific theories about origins and scientific theories about current state of events, they are not at the same level. They are acquired using substantially different methodologies, and their credibility is hugely different. So, technology about the way the world operates right now, that is acquired using inductive logic, and that has a significant amount of credibility and reliability. But knowledge acquired using abductive logic, that means we try to speculate what existed in the past and how it changed. That is like a inference to best explanation. And actually we know so little about the past that our inference to a best explanation is actually nothing more than the best guess among things that we know very little about. So that's why we shouldn't mix the two. So that means, now again I'll come to a extreme. The one extreme is to reject all science as nonsense, as all scientists are fools, rascals, this, that. And to reject all science as wrong. That is unnecessary, it is invalid, and it is actually non-shastric. Why non-shastric? Because Shastra also acknowledges that natural factors have natural causes. As I said in Ayurveda, natural diseases are treated by natural causes. So one extreme is to reject all science, and the other extreme is to accept everything within science. The balanced attitude is to recognize that science is right about certain things, but there are many things in science which are not right. And they are not right not just because we say it's against Shastra, that is definitely a factor, but even from the methodology that is used, they are unsubstantial. So now I am coming here to the point of that science has not observed the times in the world when the Supreme Lord appeared over here. So science observes the times when natural phenomena are happening according to natural laws. And based on that, the postulation of certain equations is made. But there can be extraordinary events when the natural law can be suspended. Now the Vedic worldview is a little more complicated than this. That see, when we talk about, when Srila Prabhupada talks about the laws of nature, he usually refers to the law of karma. Now we will be punished by the laws of nature. But when science talks about laws of nature, it talks about something entirely different. It talks about the laws of physics, laws of chemistry, like that. So when science talks about nature, it refers primarily to gross matter and its interactions. So when science talks about supernatural phenomena, so for example, in a dark night, in a deserted house, suddenly the window opens and there is nobody there. There's a laughter that comes over there. And honi and honi. All the people have this all paranormal ghost stories. So now, science will consider ghosts to be supernatural. But according to Shastra, ghosts are also natural. They are not supernatural. See, because nature itself has gross matter, subtle matter, and spirit. Now science considers anything beyond gross matter to be supernatural. But according to Shastra, supernatural is not just that which is beyond gross matter, but that which is beyond subtle matter also. So now in this particular case, Akrura's whatever Shakti he has, or whatever energy, the elders of the Dwarka dynasty are ascribing to Akrura. Now they fall within whatever mystic powers he has. So they are subtle powers. When we talk about mystic powers, what are they? Actually I was going to talk about three topics, as I said. The possibility of miracles, the insubstantiality of miracles, and the utility of miracles. Till now I have been talking only about the possibility, how they are possible within the scientific worldview, and now we have come to significance of what they mean in the Vedic worldview. But the point which I was making about insubstantiality of miracles is, I'll just mention it briefly, that although miracles are possible within the Vedic worldview, they are not taken very seriously. Nothing to get very excited about. And that's why we see that Prabhupada, when he talks about the yogic siddhis in the introduction of Nectar of Devotion, he said they are just like technology. Now some yogis might get power to go through a wall, and now science has built tunnels which go through mountains. So essentially, both the method by which they do things may be different. So how is the method different? In modern science, we try to understand the natural phenomena, the natural causes, and try to set up try to adjust the natural cause in such a way that we can make things happen according to our will. But in mystic science, what we do is, so for example, if we want to know what is happening in, say, Calcutta, then we have to have internet, and we have to have a live connection, and we have to have somebody transmitting information from there, then we can know what is happening. You can see also what is happening in Calcutta. So this is a way where at the level of gross physical technology and manipulating matter at a gross level, we acquire knowledge. But another way to do this is, we understand that there are higher beings who have powers. Ultimately, there is the highest being who has the supreme power. And we worship him, we do austerities for him, and then he gives us the power by which we acquire a similar vision. So, there are siddhis, prapti siddhi, by which a yogi can get something from somewhere, anything from anywhere. So essentially, although the method is what? In the method of modern science is domination, the method of Vedic science is supplication. Domination means I try to control nature and acquire the things, whereas in Vedic science is supplication. That means we pray to the higher beings, and by their power we acquire the things. So even in, actually Patanjali says in Yoga Sutra that even the Yoga Siddhis are the anugraha of the Ishvara. Not in the Yoga Sutra, it is in the commentaries to the Yoga Sutra this is stated. But the point is, although the method is different, the purpose is same. Both in technology and Yogi Siddhis, the purpose is the same. And just as illiterate tribal may consider that how can you just take out some object from your pocket and with that talk with somebody in America? It may seem like a miracle for that person. So when what we call as a miracle is simply something whose cause we can't understand. When the cause of something we don't understand, we call it a miracle. So just as there is a scientific worldview that can explain how things happen when they seem miraculous at first glance, similarly there is a Vedic worldview that can explain how things happen when they seem to be miraculous at first glance. So here a person like Akrura, how could he have powers like this? That is, if a person is spiritually evolved, or if a person has done some yogic practice, then the person can acquire siddhis. And those siddhis enable a person to control natural phenomena in a way that is not possible for ordinary people. But the point which you are making here is that what is considered natural by modern science, what is considered supernatural by modern science, is also natural according to the Vedic worldview. Why? Because it is also within the phenomena of nature only. And it cannot lead to any truly extraordinary result. The truly extraordinary result is getting out of the whole scope of nature, getting out of material existence. And miracles in general cannot take us out of material existence. Miracles may enable us to manipulate material existence in extraordinary ways. But ultimately, we stay trapped in material existence. And that's why on the path of yoga, the siddhis, generally the siddhis start getting acquired once one goes to dhyan, dharana, samadhi. Before one comes to samadhi, one gets the siddhis. And if one gets distracted by the siddhis, then one may not come to samadhi. So similarly, the temptation to control things and control things in an extraordinary way can be a distractor from the spiritual path. And the ultimate spiritual perfection is not to control matter in a better way, but to go beyond matter, to become attracted to the Supreme Lord. And that is the ultimate miracle that the Vedic scriptures offer us. The ultimate miracle, and Srila Prabhupada was one, Suhotra Maharaj used to say that, he asked Srila Prabhupada that there was one historian, famous historian, Graham Hancock. He wrote a book called The Fingerprint of the Gods. And in that book, he gave evidence of ancient civilization that existed in different parts of the world. So, Suhotra Maharaj asked Prabhupada about the authenticity of this. So he describes ancient technology that was there in this part of the world, that part of the world, that part of the world. So he asked Prabhupada, is this true? Was all this technology Vedic technology? So now, Prabhupada answered, Vedic technology means Guru Shishya Parampara. Vedic technology means Guru Shishya Parampara. Now, of course, Vedic technology has a material part also. There has been technology in the ancient times, and yes, somebody can do some research to try to recover the technology. But that is not the important thing. It is not very, Hitler, when Hitler was very fascinated by Aryan culture, because he thought I am an Aryan. And he thought that if I can just get one Brahmastra, then I can win the World War II. So he actually deputed a whole group of scientists to go all over India to see if we can find out a method by which we can make Brahmastras now. Now, of course, how much there is credibility to this, we don't know. But certainly Hitler had a lot of interest in this, and he did send researchers to India to try to investigate the possibility of making advanced weapons. But the point is that whether there is a Brahmastra which is in the past, or whether there is a nuclear weapon which is made now, the point is neither of these can liberate us from material existence. So the important thing is, so in that sense, miracles are insubstantial. So miracles are insubstantial. The real miracle is the miracle within the heart, the purification of the heart, the redirection of the heart from the world to Krishna. And sometimes great saintly people may use miracles as a means to initially attract people so that they can practice the process of purification, so that they can practice the process of bhakti. Jesus performed miracles, but when his disciples started repeatedly asking him to show miracles, he said, faith acquired from miracles is not as strong as faith acquired without miracles. And that's why when Jesus was crucified eventually, then those who had got faith in him because of his capacity to do miracles, their faith was shattered. He said, if he is the Messiah come to deliver us, how could he not save himself? So faith acquired through miracles is always very shaky, because it is always dependent on the future occurrence of miracles. Whereas faith, which is acquired by understanding philosophically the process of purification, that faith is very strong. When Srila Prabhupada went to America, when he reached Boston Harbor, he composed that song Markine Bhagavata Dharma. And what is the Markine Bhagavata Dharma containing? It gives his meditation about how he is going to accomplish this miraculous task of purifying people in the West. And in that he quotes the Bhagavatam. Shrunuvatam swakatha Krishna punya shravana kirtana Rudyantastoya Badrani Vidhanoti Suhrutsatam. So, that those who hear the pastimes of Krishna, they become, Krishna purifies them from within because he is the well-wisher. So, if you consider Prabhupada as a general going for a war, single-handed war against a formidable enemy. Now, when a warrior goes like that, the warrior is always conscious. What is my ace? What is my key weapon? I'll make sure that weapon is with me. So, Prabhupada is telling us his key weapon is the process of hearing Bhagavatam. The process of hearing, sound vibration purifies. And the last instruction that Prabhupada gave, I think it was on November 10th, 1977. Afterwards, he did not speak directly for many days, not in the instructive mode. So he said that everything in the world is controlled by Krishna. Be protected from the three modes by living in the association of devotees and hearing about Krishna. And by this, you will become purified and you will go back to him. So the real miracle, the miracle of transformation of a heart, happens through spiritual sound vibration. And that is the most important gift that, as Srila Prabhupada said, Vedic technology means Guru Shishya Parampara. Guru Shishya Parampara gives us access to the power of spiritual sound by which the heart gets transformed. And we focus primarily on philosophy, and that's why Prabhupada did not exhibit much miracles, nor do we give much value to miracles. We focus not on external miracles that manipulate nature in a dramatic way. We focus on the inner miracle that transforms our heart. And that miracle is possible for each one of us to experience within our hearts and to become a channel for others to experience. And that is the greatest gift that the Srimad Bhagavatam offers us. So I'll conclude with a summary. I started by talking about how is it that in the past people were just gullible, because of which they believed any stories that were told? No, we discussed how people understood natural factors had natural phenomena had natural causes, but they were also open to other causes. So then we discussed how naturalism is a rajasic knowledge which is acquired with the desire to control, and knowledge as means of power instead of knowledge as virtue. And because of the desire to control, whatever is one is not able to control, that is put outside. That is in advance put aside. So, some skeptics say that we should look only for natural causes for natural phenomena, because otherwise we will stop progress. No, we will stop progress if we also stop looking for supernatural causes. We have to have a balance. So the natural and supernatural causes can be complementary, like the billiards example. And in some exceptional situations, the supernatural cause can supersede the natural cause. When the Supreme Lord, who is the controller of nature, intervenes, or when higher beings who have power to control certain natural phenomena, they intervene. But in general, the two operate in parallel. So, so miracles are possible because nature is not supreme. Natural law is not supreme. There are people who, the Supreme Lord and those whom he empowers, who can intervene occasionally. Then we discussed in naturalism that miracles are possible, and what science considers supernatural is also natural, because it is in the realm of subtle matter instead of gross matter. And ultimately miracles, although Vedic culture accepts that they are possible, it doesn't consider them very substantial. It's just another way of manipulating matter, and we have to essentially go beyond matter. And the greatest miracle is that which takes us beyond matter. And that is spiritual sound vibration. Thank you very much. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna.